everyone, welcome to our Piktosquad tutorial. We're so excited to have you joining us for this session today. And whether you're watching this live or later on in a later time, we hope that you'll be able to find this valuable. So this Piktosquad tutorial is created exclusively for all of our Piktosquad members. If you're part of our community, we are a community of Piktochart users who love Piktochart and want to share what we are creating with Piktochart, and also at the same time hoping to inspire others and also to be able to learn and get some valuable tips. So we hope that this tutorial will be beneficial for you. If you're watching this on YouTube and you are not part of our Piktosquad yet, we'd love to invite you to join us. So you can find that in the link below in the video description. So today, before we begin, I also like to let you know that we're going to have a Q&A session. So if you're watching this and you have any questions, just feel free to leave it in the comment section. We'll try to get back to you if you have any questions related to today's topic. So I will not delay any longer. Today, it is my joy and my honor to welcome my colleague and friend, Natasha. Natasha is the head of design at Piktochart. She leads a team of designers in Piktochart, and all the templates, the icons, the illustrations, basically anything design related that you see in Piktochart is made by her and her team. So they have a great team and she's heading the team there. So today she'll be here to share with us more about how to create grids for your design and using that as well to be able to level up in your visual communication skills. So I'll pass the time over to Natasha. So take it away.
All right, thank you so much, Wilson. Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I am so happy to be here to share the time with you. And I'm also very proud of you if you're watching this offline or you're getting the link from somewhere. I'm really, really proud you brought yourself here to improve yourself on visualizing your message and how you can utilize grids and create it in Piktochart easily. I also will introduce myself. So my name is Natasha. I'm communication design lead in Piktochart. And the main task is basically to improve and ensure the quality of Piktochart templates and also graphic assets to make sure that they will help you to visualize your message better and successfully. And at the same time, this is also my task. So I will also include the design trends or whatever that I've learned from my research in order to, share the knowledge and also help you to improve your communication. All of you might come here from different backgrounds. So some of you might already know what grade system is, and you probably have already used it in your visuals. So you might want to learn how you can easily use it or create it in Piktochart. And some of you guys might also just heard about it before. So you haven't really like learned about grids or you haven't really practiced, grid system and everything. So don't worry about it. In the first session, I will introduce what is grid system so that it will align all of us. I will also show you the different types of grids, like the function as well. And also I will introduce the terminologies as well, the terms that we use in grid, in creating grid. And then on the second session, there will be the demo where I will show you how I create grids in Piktochart easily and quickly. So let's begin. On the first section, what is grid system and how to use it to create evocative visual. So from the previous tutorial, you already learned that the key of successful communication is to actually connect with your audience. And that can be done through creating something they will always remember or star moment. There are many ways to create star moments, and one of the key is also to create evocative visuals. So basically, visual that engage to your audience, that communicate your message accurately and clearly to your audience. To create evocative visuals, we need the help from design principles. So there are 6 design principles here. One is contrast, hierarchy, proximity, flow, unity, and white space. In the previous tutorial, we learned about how to create contrast and how to use contrast to engage with your audience. And in this tutorial, we're gonna focus in proximity, but grid will also help you to create unity and also white space. So it's like killing two birds with one stone. So let's move on to the principle of proximity. So what is principle of proximity? Imagine I have a big box, the white box that you see on the right hand side, and then I pour all types of shapes here. So one is circles and then another one is triangles. I pour a lot of circles, I pour a lot of triangles in there. And I'm going to ask you the question, how many circles and how many triangles are there? Can you answer me in 5 seconds? It's gonna be really hard to count how many circles are there, how many triangles are there. It's different case if I laid it out nicely, neatly. I separate the circles from the triangles so that you can see that there are 3 rows of circles, there are 7 columns of circles. That means there are 21 circles. That's it. It's very easy to count, very easy to separate, to see the different shapes in the box. And then it's the same way when we are visualizing our data. So basically, we want to avoid like putting all of the charts, the number, the text all together, which might confuse our user instead. So we want to make it easier, we want to make it quicker for them to notice the patterns or how many circles in this case, how many triangles. It's the same thing with creating data or like presenting data. We might have many layers of information and we might have a lot of details into that data. It's the same case with these circles. Imagine I was saying that, okay, from the circles, there are 2 types of circles, 2 groups of circles. But now, because all of them are in the same size, in the same colors, you might not see the 2 groups. So the question is, how can we show them that there are 2 groups of circles without having to change the size or the colors or putting text into it? The easy way is to actually create the space in between. So as you can see here, just by putting the small space in between, your brain will automatically perceive that there are 2 different types of groups. Same goes for the triangles. So this is what principle of proximity is. Human perceive objects that are close together are related or similar. And grids in this case helps you to create that invisible line between the circles and the triangles that separates your data neatly, and it will help your audience to notice patterns and also data accurately or information accurately. So I have another example, which is a real visual right here. They have a very nice contrast. They have very good combinations of fonts. The only problem here is that all of them, all of the text, all of the numbers, all of the charts are all jumbled up together. So in this case, it's very hard to see what are the information that you are trying to say right here because your eyes don't know where to go first, don't know which information to look at first. You are not sure whether this information belongs to this chart or this information rather belongs to this chart, and so on and so forth. So this actually reminds me of that lunchbox. You know, like this kind of lunchbox is usually what our parents pack for us. And I used to be very active back then in elementary school. So my grandma in this case will pack me a lunch and then I will put it in my bag. I ran around, I jump around, and during lunchtime when I open up the lunchbox, this is what I see. So everything are kind of like jumbled up together, the cookies and the fruits and the main dish all like mixed up together. And that is an awful feeling. And this is what you want to avoid your audience feeling because It's not a good feeling. So back to the example, in this case, what your audience will feel is that they wouldn't know, again, how to interpret this message. So what I will do is I will rearrange and put it in a grid and look at how different it is. So this is the visual without grid system, and this is the visual with grid system. So basically, what I did is I divided into three columns, and then I input the chart within that three columns. And as for the text, I let it flow from column 1 to column 3. So just by following a grid system, it makes such a big difference in presenting your information. So to recap, the conclusion is a grid system is the structure comprising a series of horizontal and vertical lines which intersect and are then used to arrange content. So next, I will introduce you to some of the grid system terminologies. One is actually margin. So margin is the area from the edge of your visual to the text safe area. So the text safe area is the area within your visual where you put all your important or essential information. So you might want to avoid putting important information outside of the text safe area because when you print it or you put it in the digital or social media, they might get cropped or they might get resized. So you want to avoid putting the important information outside the text safe area so that they are basically safe in there. And then the next one is actually columns. So within your text safe area, you can then divide them into the same size columns, and same goes to rows. So you can divide them whether the combination of columns and rows or just rows itself or columns itself. So you can divide them into 2 rows, 3 rows, or 4 rows. Same goes to columns. You can divide them into 2, 3, 4 columns. And then the space in between the columns is called gutter. Same goes to the space in between the rows. They are called gutters as well. So you might want to have the same size of gutter in between your rows and your columns. As you can see on the diagram on the right side, there are many types of grid systems. There are 1 column, 2 columns, 3 columns, 4 columns. Same goes to the rows. And then there are also combination of rows and columns. And then you can also modify the different column size so that they can have a combination of larger and smaller columns. Same goes to rows. So there's a statement that grid systems can only be used in print publication. And this is actually just a myth because grid system has been long used in print publications, but nowadays everybody or especially designers are using grid systems as a standard to create any types of visuals in any formats to create different layouts. So my favorite grid system will be column grid, and I would choose to go to simple column grid like 2, 3, 4 columns. And sometimes I'll also combine it with 2, 3, or 4 rows. And I would also suggest to avoid like all those complicated like 6 or even 12 rows and columns grid system because it's gonna get complicated very easily. And I can also show you how you can arrive with different types of layout just with this simple column grid. So the first example right here, as you can see, I let my text or my headline in this case flow from the column 1 to column 3 right here. And then for the second row, I used it to occupy all the photos. And for the third row, I used it to place all the smaller copies. And this is the layout that I came up with, very simple. You can see right here. But at the same time, using the same grid system, I can also come up with this layout where I place all the photos in the first column and then the text again flow from the second to the third column. And then I just repeat the same pattern and then create it into or divide it into the different rows. So this one is good if you want to visualize like different pointers vertically. This is what how it looks like. And then this same grid system can also be used if you have 2-point comparison. So for example, I use the first row to place the headline or the title. And then when you take the middle line of the first row, that's where you can place the images. And then resize your image to fit the second row. And then same goes to the second image and then place the text at the bottom right at the third row. So this is how it looks like as well. And then another variation of the layout that you can try right here with the same grid system, you can use it to combine like text and images. As for example, here I put the images and I put it at the margin area as well. It is okay because in this case, the images is actually the 8. It's not the essential information. And the essential information is actually put within the text safe area in column 1 flowing to column 2. So this is how it looks like. And if you are not liking the previous layout, you can also try out this one with the same amount of text. So basically, I resize the photos, put it at the top row, and then second row for the title, third row for the body copy. And this is how it looks like. Last but not least, I can also show you how I can use grid system to create Instagram posts. So I also put the title at the top on the first row. And then for the second and the third row, I put the photos, or in this case, you can use like photo frames or some Polaroid photos or product photos as well. And then you can place the text or the captions right at the top of the third row. And this is how it looks like. So as you can see from the example that I showed you, I just used the very basic 3x3 grid system and I can come up with a lot of different layouts. So I would also love to close this section, the first section, with a quote from Joseph Mueller Brockman. The grid system is an aid, not a guarantee. It permits a number of possible uses, and each designer can look for a solution appropriate to his personal style. But one must learn how to use grid. It is an art that requires practice. So what does it mean is like you can creatively use the same grid system and came out with a lot of different variation of layouts or visuals that you can, mix and match and use so that you can engage with your audience through visual. All right, so let's move on to the second session where I can show you how you can easily and quickly create grids in Piktochart. So I have with me blank template. You can get it from the infographic formats, and then this is the first template that you see. So once you arrive in the editor, you can basically goes to the graphic tab on the left side, and then you can grab e-square. And the first thing that you want to do is to create margin. So how do we define the margin? First, you want to check your document size. So in this case, I'm creating an infographic, and the default size for the block is actually 800 by 1131 pixels. So the margin that I usually set is about 50 pixels for each side. So that means we will have around 100 pixels for the left and right side and 100 pixels for the top and the bottom side. So with this, I will use the number as a guide. So 800 minus 100 is 700. So I'm going to resize the square to 700 pixels. So you can see from the number right there, let's try to hit thing like 700. And then for the height, I will go with 1031. So I will resize this to 1031. And then what I will do next is to actually position this right in the middle of the block. So I'll click center and middle. So just with this, you have your own text safe area and margin set. It's that quick. And because the color now is currently very dark and it might obstruct you when you are creating visuals. So you can change the color to other colors or make it less in opacity so that it won't obstruct your view when you're creating visuals. So it's up to you whether you want to lock it or not. The reason why I said that is because if you don't lock it, you can use the square or the rectangle in this case at the back to align your icons or elements, any elements in your visual. So for example, I have these icons right here. I can always like drag it or manually like put it at the edge of the rectangle, or I can use the alignment feature that we have or positions right here. And by basically clicking the align left, I can stick the objects to the rectangles at the back. So yeah, this is the text safe area, the first step. And then the second step is to actually decide how many columns or rows you want to have. So it depends on how many, again, columns and rows that you want to use in your visual. But in this case, as an example, let's say I want to create 2 columns. So what I'm gonna do is, again, I will grab another square. Let me remove this first. And then I'll just need to copy and paste this because I need 2 columns. So I'm gonna copy and paste another one right here. Simply place it near the first square. And then you basically select the 2 boxes, align it to your text safe area. And then you want to drag the size according to your text safe area. So just with this, you got the same size of 2 columns. But I know that you might be thinking, okay, the gutter might be a little big. So what I want to do is just make the gutter slightly smaller. And again, select the 2 rectangles. You can then align it to your text safe area. And voila, it's done, 2 columns. So, and then you might ask, okay, what about the height? Okay, if you want to create the different columns, of course, you can repeat the same steps. So you're gonna copy and paste this rectangle, place it right at the bottom of it or slightly under it, and then you can resize the 4 rectangles down to the height of your text safe area. And then again, you might see the gutter is slightly bigger, so you want to adjust it and repeat the same steps. And with that, you have 2x2 grid system placed in your visual. Yeah, it's that simple. And if you don't want to apply any rows, you just want to use one row, of course you can do it small. You can remove and then you can then drag the two rectangles and create two column grid system. I know that some of you might think that okay, it takes a lot of time. So that's why I prepared some grid system templates that you can easily upload to Piktochart and then you can use it to create your visuals directly. So I have some of them uploaded here. So it's gonna look like this. So what you're going to do is just place it in your block and then you can resize them according to your block size. And of course, just with that, you have your grid system placed in your block. So this is exclusively available for our Piktosquad allies, and Wilson here will help you to distribute the templates and you can download it and use it in your visuals. So I've prepared the grids for different formats like A4 documents that you can use in your poster, reports, flyers, or infographics. There's also travel brochures, grid system templates, presentations, and also social media like Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. So yeah, I guess to recap, a grid system is a structure comprising a series of horizontal and vertical lines which intersect and are then used to arrange content. And based on the Gestalt principle about proximity, elements that are placed closer together are perceived as being more related than those spaced further apart. So in this case, grid system will help you to build the proximity so that your audience can easily interpret the message that you're trying to say through your visual. And to end this session, just to mention that we have also come up with Piktochart Academy. So you can join and enroll for free to learn about the fundamentals of visual storytelling, like how to create contrast through fonts and colors and so on. And there will be a certificate of completions once you completed this course. So yeah, maybe we can move on to the Q&A session and let's see if we have any questions from our audience.
Thank you, Natasha. I think we have some positive feedback about wanting to use this in their design. So not so much of questions, but like positive remarks on how, yeah, this is really helpful. And personally for me as well, I mean, I work in Piktochart. I use Piktochart on a daily basis, but seeing this like, I should start thinking more about this. So thank you so much for, yeah, no questions so far. Everyone said they learned a lot of technical stuff and terminologies. Yes, now I know what a gutter means.
Okay, that's good to hear. That's good to hear. All
Yeah.
right, so yeah, I guess then we can close this session or tutorial for today. Feel free to reach out to me or Wilson here if you have any questions, and if you have any requests for templates or graphic assets, you can also go to us.piktochart.com where you can also discuss with other Piktochart users or allies there about what are the type of graphics that will be useful for you. Yeah. Thank you, Wilson.
All right.
And
Thank you
thank
so
you,
much,
everyone.
Natasha. As Natasha mentioned, we will be also sharing the grid templates in PNG for you to be able to download it. So we'll be putting this in our Piktosquad as one of the posts. So if you are not part of the Piktosquad yet and you're watching this, again, go to the link in the description, join our Piktosquad, and then just search in the bar for grid templates. You'll be able to find the post that has the attachment for you to download all of this in a zip file, and you can start using that for your own designs as well. So once again, thank you, Natasha, for taking time and creating such a valuable and helpful resource for us to be able to learn today. I think for myself, I learned not only seeing like a nice design is not just an art, but there's also a science and a psychology behind it. And I think today you put it very well in terms of the grid and how it helps us to be able to connect better with our audience. So thank you so much for that. And for those of you who are watching as well, thank you for joining us and for being here. And even for those who are watching this in a later date, we hope that you find this helpful and valuable for yourself. So that's all. We hope to catch you in the next Piktosquad tutorial. If you're not part of it, do join us. We try to organize at least one tutorial every month. Sometimes it's done by one of our communication design team, or sometimes it's done by one of our allies as well. So we hope that you'll be able to connect with us there. So thank you again for joining us, and goodbye.